Good morning and welcome into TerpTalk Game Day Live. We're here with the chairman of the board, Bruce Posner, talking Terps. It's Bowling Green today. Got to start from where we left off last week, which was at the post-game show. We discussed how things went. We were really big on Will Likely, but until you take a look at the record books and get a chance to watch that game again, oh my goodness.
Yeah, Will was beyond description, playing himself into a potential All-American returner role, but unfortunately they'll probably start really kicking away from him now. But big news on the Red Turtle Productions front. Wayne, I have to congratulate you. I'm so proud of you landing that gig with Hagerstown TV. You'll be on TV tonight. Everybody out there who can pick that up on, was it Channel 25?
Channel 25 and Hagerstown.
Is there a way you can send that to me?
Yeah, as soon as it's over, we're going to have the video. We'll put it up on TerpTalk.
Right.
And keep the Red Turtle.
You put it up. Don't wait for me to put it up.
Okay, I'll put it up. But you've had the tradition that you started, it's been 10 years. You started TerpTalk as a radio show. Then you got the Maven. You got In the Nest. We got this. You got the post-game shows.
Don't forget my appearances on Press Box Live, so on TV, and now you branch out to TV.
Right.
The brand is growing.
Brand is growing.
Right? And certainly well-deserved for you, and I know you're going to have a lot of fun with it, okay?
Oh.
But let's get back to Bowling Green today, and here we go. This is number 2 in the triumvirate of necessary wins.
Oh, yeah.
And
yeah, you got to get it today.
We got to get it today. There's no question about it. I think last week kind of exposed that some of these games in the Big Ten that people have written Maryland off on is absurd. I mean, to look at Penn State lose to Temple 27-10 and really get mopped. The floor was mopped.
Well, that sort of made my day. I don't know about you.
Yes, it definitely did. I felt sorry for Hackenberg because he just got annihilated. It kind of reminded me of when C.J. Brown was getting just beat up every game. But where was Franklin's schemes? Where were his, devising of roles for the quarterback so he wouldn't get sacked? I was shocked there.
If you followed the game on Twitter, we watched it in the parking lot a little bit. Then we went home, and we were watching the game on TV and on Twitter. And people put Hackenberg was sacked, and they just say, repeat the last tweet. Hackenberg was sacked. Penn State did nothing to get out of that. And, yeah, Penn State had a 10-0 lead, Mason? And then they got outscored 27.
I saw 10-0 after about 5 minutes. And I said, well, this is even worth watching. It's going to be a blowout. Yeah, right. It was a blowout, all right.
Yeah.
Back to Bowling Green. Tell us about Bowling Green and why this is not an easy game today. And Maryland is but a 7.5-point favorite, which sounds like it's a lot, but it's not a lot on a college level.
No, it's not. Well, today's game, 12 o'clock, BTN. Our buddy Joe Beninati, who you probably know better from covering the Caps, and Scott McBrien get the call today from College Park. Bowling Green had a pretty big week last week. Mason said it was 30 plays and 500 and something yards. So they got 30 points out of their 30 plays. Their senior redshirt quarterback threw for 424 yards. They're coached by a guy who's had success at different levels, including Eastern Illinois. It's Dino Babbers. This is the coach for the Bowling Green Falcons. He's been in a championship game in the 3 last years that he's coached. They made the championship game every year. Last year, Bowling Green beat Indiana. So to think that they're out of this game, but if you focus on what they did last week, they had some prolific numbers. The game they lost, was it 59-30?
59-30. You know what impressed me? We all know now that the second coming of Tom Brady, Matt Johnson, threw for 424 yards on 49 passes. But what really surprised me, look at their rushing totals.
Right. So Gary Dieter, he's a receiver. I'm sorry. Matt Johnson's the quarterback you brought up. When you go through the running backs, you start with Fred Coppett.
Fred Coppett, 12 rushes, 63 yards. Matt ran for 52 yards on 10 rushes, 37 yards on Travis Green, which means they were averaging 4 or 5 yards a carry. And this game is going to be problematic, and it comes back to our verdict and our opinion of who else but Perry Hills. Can Perry Hills generate that offense to take this team anywhere? I ask you.
Yes, you could generate enough offense. We had a little debate on the post-game show last week of whether or not it was a B game or a C game. After watching most of the game again, I'm still going to give him a C. There were too many passes he left out on the field, but it's correctable mistakes. He didn't make mistakes that lost the game. Maryland blows him.
Manage the game. Isn't that the new word?
That's the new word today. I'm going to throw it back to the defense because you love the secondary. We're going up against a Bowling Green team that was really in it against number 25 Tennessee. You think the defensive backs can handle a guy like Matt Johnson if they get a decent pass rush?
Well, you know what? We're going to find out.
Well, that's why they play the game.
That's why they play the game. But we're going to find out is last week, the quarterback for Richmond, Laletta, I think was his name, Laletta.
His first game.
Right. He marched up and down the field twice in the second quarter. Great adjustments at halftime. And in the second half, their offense was nothing. All right. It was negligible except the final meaningless TV.
Well, you could go with Quentin Jefferson. Big game, a couple sacks.
2 sacks.
Jesse Anybottom, I think, had one.
Talk about Jermaine Carter, because he was your guy who you predicted would be the man of the game. Will likely ended all thoughts of that. But it would have been Carter, according to the coaches.
It could have been Carter. Is a middle linebacker. He played a little bit last year. And Maryland, with the 4 defensive linemen out, they're trying to get up the field and let those guys go and absorb the blockers so your middle linebacker has a shot at the ball carrier. And I think that Carter, especially in the second half, started to shoot the gaps. He picked up the rhythm on the defense, and Maryland wasn't sitting back and waiting any longer. Maryland became an attacking defense, and you start to see sacks. You see Carter. I have the actual stats here, but the number of tackles wasn't as important as the fact he changed the game. Richmond was running the ball for a while. Soon as Maryland started to attack on defense, we started to bottle them up for 1 and 2 yard gains, and then Will likely took over, and away we go.
My initial verdict, and I'm certainly no football expert, neither are you, but my official verdict, well, I wasn't trying to criticize.
You're just funny sometimes.
All right. Is that the 4-3, we looked better on defense. I thought it was harder to run against us. And for some reason, you didn't see those short passes over the middle that always seemed to, really cloud Maryland's picture. And the secondary takes care of itself. So maybe the answer is when you have a secondary like Maryland has, all right, the 4-3 might be a better option.
It is. For Maryland, I think it's the personnel. For a while, we were rocking the 3-4 defense under Don Brown, but we had Kenny Tate.
Where's Don Brown these days?
I think he's still at Connecticut. Mason, could you check that to Don Brown Football on Twitter and see if he's still at UConn? We were rocking that 4-3.
Only you would know his Twitter handle.
Well, Mason's pretty good at this.
All right.
But we were rocking a 4-3 with some exceptional edge athletes. We had Kenny Tate on one side. We had some really good linebackers at that point. So the 34 fit. Now, can you always go out and get these exceptional edge rushers? Or Maryland's thinking it's better, especially in the Big Ten because of the running, that edge rushing isn't the game. If you just go with your edge rushing, you're going to get run on up the middle all the time. So they put a 4-3 together to slow down those running backs. On the offensive side, Maryland now with average of 308.5 pounds per offensive lineman has the second heaviest offensive line in the Big Ten, only second to Wisconsin. Today, you might get some actual playing time out of Isaiah Prince and it's Derwin Gray, both of whom are your 4-star recruits on the offensive line. What do you think of the blocking last week?
I thought it was great. I mean, you have 3 guys rush, one for 150. I think the other 2 guys had like 90 or something in that regard. Let's see here. Ty Johnson had 10 rushes for 84 yards. Wes Brown, 13 for 74. And Brandon Ross, a super game, 18 for 150. And Perry ran for 25. So it only happens when the blocking's there, and the blocking was there. And so week 1 against Richmond, the verdict was pretty good on the offensive line. And look, I've never seen Bowling Green play except to watch Tennessee run up and down the field like they weren't there. So I don't know much about how good their defense is or whatever, but I don't think, Maryland is going to have any trouble rushing the ball against this team.
And if that's how it goes, then that's great for me. I was just talking to Mason. So many of these games look like they're being played on Madden now, where you just push a button and somebody throws the ball 50 yards and guy spins around and scores. I sort of miss the tactical football that you used to see. Now, you said that Don Brown, looking over at Mason, Don Brown's with Boston College?
Yeah, okay.
All right, close. We were close in the same zip code. You brought up Ty Johnson. Now, he's a Hagerstown. He's a Western Maryland favorite.
Very impressive in the spring, not the spring game, the
scrimmage. Scrimmage.
Very impressive. We both loved the guy, and we were right.
Yeah.
He's a winner.
Yes, he wears number 6 for the Terps, and I think you'll see a little more time for him. But okay, I'll go one more time back to the postgame show. You brought up that Will Likely had exceeded Heisman Trophy winner in the punt return game, in the most punt return yards in the Big Ten history, and that was Kinnick. Kinnick, and that's who the stadium's named after in Iowa.
Right, Kinnick Stadium.
That's
he was also
Kinnick.
A war hero,
Yeah.
won the Heisman.
1939 Heisman winner. But here, take a look at these career yards, game yards. There's 8 boxes on this page that Maryland put out where Will Likely is either the top 5, the number 1, the number 1 all time. One of them that really stands out because we've had some great kickoff returners, including Torrey Smith and Stephon Diggs. The number 1 guy on the list with 28.5 yards per kickoff return in Maryland history is Will Likely.
Yeah, actually, it's 31.
31?
Right.
Kickoff
return average for the season.
For that season. But the career over here,
Career
is 28. 28 yards per kickoff return. He's doing it all. Then before we go to break here, the question I've been asked a couple times, I asked you on the air on TerpTalk, Coons Ford presents TerpTalk, which is Wednesday nights on CBS Sports Radio. Do you think Will Likely's being overused, or you'd like to see him a couple times on offense?
I'd like to see. I'd love to see him on offense a little bit, but I don't think he's being overused. But I do believe I'm a little concerned about the kickoff returns. All right, the punt returns you can't stop. The only way you can stop a punt return is just kick it out of bounds. And if you do that, you're giving up 15, 20 yards. Will they do that? Yeah, I think they might do that, to tell you the truth. All right, but kickoff returns, it's a tougher game. But, wow, his first step when a guy's coming his way, he must have been 9 for 9 last week. I don't know how many total returns he had, but every one he left the first guy just lying on the ground. And he is fun to watch. I mean, when you consider the most exciting play right now in a Maryland game is a punt.
Yeah. Right. Remember when it was like that with Diggs when he was a freshman?
Diggs was unbelievable. But Will Likely is a junior now.
Right.
And you know what that means.
He might be going pro. This could be
yeah, I mean, he's playing. But listen, if he winds up going pro, it's only because Maryland had a great year. All right? And
that's a good point.
That's the bottom line. But listen, time's running away. Tell us about Viener Consulting and Meyer Engineer.
All right, we'll start with Meyer Consulting Engineers out of Rockville. They've sponsored our videos. You're going to see their spot in our post-game video today. If you're making a large building, if you're constructing something big, a parking deck, a library, check out Meyer Consulting Engineers. They can help you have a successful project. For Viener Consulting, if you're a small business, if you take credit cards right now, if you're going through the transition towards EMV or European MasterCard and Visa, the chip and pin look, Viener Consulting is a place that can help you with your point of sale, the hardware, the network, and secure transactions for your internet sales. Call Viener Consulting at 301-251-2900. They're the guys that can help you out. We'll be back with TerpTalk Game Day in a few minutes here on YouTube. All right, we're back here for Terp Talk Game Day. It's the second segment, and I wanted to bring up one Terp note before I forget. We're having a little bit of lighting problems.
You know what? I've had that problem. I said, oh my God, I had some problems with eye surgery with laser, and I'm seeing this flashing light. I said, don't tell me it's coming back.
Right.
That's what it was like. Can you imagine it?
To have that nonstop.
That kind of flash, yeah.
They're not really fluorescent lights. I'm not sure what's going on here, but we'll get that taken care of by engineering. I wanted to bring up the Maryland basketball schedule. Just announced ticket sales for December 17th. Yeah. It's the Princeton game. It's at what? I'll call it the Baltimore Arena. Is it still?
Royal Farms.
Thank you, Mason. Royal Farms Arena is what it's called now. Princeton comes in, I think it's 7 o'clock on Saturday night, December 19th.
Where are you going to be?
And get your tickets. Now, I didn't realize it wasn't part of our season ticket package until I started to look at the emails and realized Mason's giving me a date correction. What's the date?
19th.
It is the 19th. So if you haven't gotten your tickets yet and you want to see the Terps in Baltimore, it's a much more intimate arena. I remember when the Bullets or the Wizards used to play there once in a while. Before that was the Baltimore Bullets, and I went to.
Did you ever go to a Baltimore Bullet game?
No, they had moved to Washington before I started going.
It was a rocking crowd. I mean, a rocking crowd.
Do you remember the last couple of games where Maryland played in Baltimore?
Every one. I never missed one. Yeah,
it was Princeton, Iowa. They had some great games with UMass. So if you want to see the Terps in Baltimore, there's tickets available. Call 301-314-7070 for the Maryland ticket office.
All right, one more issue on Maryland. What is going on with our non-rev teams? The hockey team has lost 3 games in a row.
Todd Carton must be ready to jump out the window.
Wow, I can't imagine it. I mean, albeit they're all games that we really kind of dominated, but we lost 3 one-goal games. And the soccer team zip tie against Michigan yesterday.
They had the fellow got red carded, got thrown out of the game.
35 minutes.
So it sort of looked like Maryland was just struggling to finish that game in a tie. I actually give the Terps props for keeping that at a 0-0, or as you'd call it in soccer, a 0-0 tie. I thought we were going to lose the game a couple times.
Yeah, for sure. So let's wrap it up because we're getting ready for the Sports Maven in a few minutes. All right, we asked that question. I love that you started last week. Star of the game for Maryland today.
Star of the game for Maryland, I'm going to think that Ty Johnson's going to get a little more run, and he might even be your kickoff returner. I'm going to go with number 6 for the Terps, Ty Johnson on offense. On defense, I think Sean Davis is going to have a big day. I think Bowling Green's got to throw the ball. They don't want to throw it to Will Likely. Sean Davis is the converted safety, whereas number 21 plays the boundary side or the short side corner. I think he's going to have a big one. Bruce, who do you have?
All right, I'm going to go against conventional wisdom at this point. I'm going with number 11, Perry Hills today. All right, I believe that last week he was nervous. I like the fact that he was pinpointed over the middle. If you watched Tom Brady the other day, and Lord knows I'm not comparing Perry Hills to Tom Brady, look at the passes he threw, why he was 24 for 28. There were 7-yard passes over the middle. There were little flat-out passes. When he threw it deep, he was not effective. All right, Gronkowski was because it was he was wide open, and I think that Perry Hills, despite all the criticism that he took on those short passes, all right, he was on the money except for one, and I think that Perry Hills will come out of that hiding a little bit today, or if not, it's going to be a long day.
Or Caleb Rowe. We'll start up at number
Defensively, no question. Number 99, Quentin Jefferson. There's no purpose not to tee off on this guy, Matt, whatever his name is, Matt Johnson. And if he's going to throw the ball 49 times, I would be surprised if Quentin Jefferson doesn't come up with 2 or 3 sacks. So I will go with that. All right, those 2 guys, and I predict a Maryland victory today.
I'm going to hold off on that. I got one interesting note, which is you mentioned Brady, the guy that should have started the game. Garoppolo. You know who his coach was at Eastern Illinois?
Napers, whatever his name is.
Dino Babbers. His last stop before Bowling Green was Eastern Illinois, and Jimmy Garoppolo won the FCS Heisman equivalent while he was there. Score for today.
Maryland 31-24. I do believe it's going to be a close game.
So that says you take Bowling Green in the 7.5.
Well, who cares about the spread? But I just want to make sure Maryland wins. But no, if I think it's going to be a tight game. If you're asking me on that level, I think it's going to be a tight game.
I'll go 38-20 Terps, and that's going to wrap us up. Bruce, thanks for setting us all up and being here today. Thanks to intern Mason for getting here.
Real quick, tomorrow, tell them what's coming on. In the Nest, the opening episode of In the Nest, Science and Kirk presents In the Nest. Of course, we'll be back with Terp Talk on Wednesday. Catch Wayne on Channel 25 in Hagerstown. If you can't get Hagerstown, it'll be on Terp Talk tonight, right afterwards, so you'll be able to see it. You'll get it up like midnight or something like that.
As soon as Jason could get me the cuts.
Well, I'm going to be bugging you because I want to see it.
I know. Right? I want to see it.
Now you're going to wear the Terp Talk hat?
You actually have to wear a jacket, a tie, and the whole bit. So
okay, you're forgiven.
Under my suit and tie, I'll have on my Terp Talk red game jersey. Science and Kirk presents In the Nest. If you're out of the area and you want to listen to the Ravens pregame show, you can listen to that on www.terptalk.com. This is Wayne Viener for Bruce Posner and intern Mason. We got to get over to the Sports Maven, so we will see you next week on Terp Talk Game Day.
All right. Goodbye, everybody. Let's go Terps.